You're listening to A Slice of Therapy with me, Alun Parry. Now imagine if you were having a bike ride. It's a lovely summer's day, and maybe having a bike ride along the riverside. And it's a nice easy bike ride. And you're just kind of sauntering along. You're not putting much effort in. You're going at a nice steady pace. You're able to look around and take everything in as you're riding your bicycle. You're able to see people coming past and give them a bit of a smile. You're able to look at the scenery, look at the water, look at the blue skies, and just have a kind of really easy bicycle ride along the river. So easy that you're able to take in your surroundings and feel really comfortable. And let's say that you progress that bike ride. And as you're moving along, you notice that you come near a gang. And there's a gang of people there. And in fact, they notice you and they start to chase you. And so what you do is you go 10 to the dozen on the pedals. You really speed your bicycle up because you're wanting to get away from them. And so that easy bike ride that you were having just a moment ago, now you're pedaling furiously and your bike is going very, very fast as a result. But you notice that they're still chasing you and you can't seem to get away. And then you make a turn in order to try and escape. And lo and behold, you're up against the dead end. And so what do? You slam on the brakes. You bring the bicycle to a complete and utter shutdown. Your attempts at speeding up your bicycle in order to solve the problem has hit a brick wall because you're at a dead end and you can't solve the problem that way. And so you slam on the brakes of your bicycle and you come to a stop. Now, our nervous systems actually work in exactly the same way as that. And biologically speaking, have the exact same three states. So this is not a psychological theory I'm telling you now. This is actually biologically what goes on in our body. There are different parts of our body, different parts of our nervous system that do the same jobs as you were doing on that bike ride. And so we have that easy state where we're having the nice bike ride and we can take in the scenery, we can socially engage with people, we can maintain eye contact, we can take everything in and we feel pretty much on the level and everything's okay. And we're sauntering along on our bicycle, if you like. And then we have those moments where we feel we have to respond to a current threat. Now, the threat might not be a gang or something which is a physical unsafety. It might be, I don't know, maybe your boss has said that they want to see you this afternoon for an urgent meeting. And you're thinking, what's that about? And so your bicycle starts to speed up. Or maybe you've got one of those brown envelopes that come through the letterbox that looks kind of official and scary. Maybe it even makes it clear that there's a bill inside. And so maybe your bicycle speeds up. Or maybe you're trying to solve a problem. I don't know, maybe you're having an argument with a loved one or whatever, and you're trying to, you start your pedals going in order to try and solve the problem. But in actual fact, it doesn't. And so you slam on the brakes. You go into shutdown, basically. Now, the only difference between our systems and that bicycle, even though it's quite a nice metaphor, is that with a bicycle, we are the ones pushing the pedals. We are the ones slamming the brakes on. But with our nervous system, the nervous system is almost like an automatic bicycle that you just are sitting on. And if everything feels safe, your nervous system will keep you in that I'm sauntering by the river mode, where you can take everything in. If things feel less than safe or worrying, or there's a problem that needs addressing, the pedals will just start speeding up. The bicycle of your nervous system will start going quicker. And if the problem isn't being solved and it becomes overwhelming to your nervous system will apply its own brakes. And so that's the big difference between the bicycle and our nervous systems, that our nervous systems do these things automatically. It's why it's called an autonomic nervous system, because it's not us pushing the pedals and it's not us squeezing the brakes. The nervous system does it itself. And the reason why it does that is because the nervous system is constantly monitoring for threat and for problems for you to solve, because it is in service of you staying safe and keeping you alive. And so that's its agenda. And so that's what it does. And it's much more efficient to do that without asking you first. So if that gang comes and starts to approach you with some menace, you're more likely to get away if the pedals just start racing rather than waiting for you to push them. So that's the key difference. What that means then is that what is happening within our bodies actually has an impact on how we feel. If we're sauntering along, we're having a nice time, we're able to socially engage, we feel okay. When the pedals start going, things start speeding up in the body. We start to feel a bit more frantic and hectic. And then when things shut down, we cut off. What tends to happen then is that we start providing some sort of explanation. In many ways, the brain and the narrator in the brain is really kind of the thing that makes sense of what's going on afterwards. It's more like your PR department than your executive. Your body is making those decisions very quickly without even consulting your thinking brain. And so what's going on in your body is often more important than what's going on in terms of the thoughts. And of course, the thoughts that you have can actually continue to scare your nervous system so the pedals go faster and faster, or that the shutdown becomes more embedded. So they do have some sort of role. But it can be helpful to focus on the body and what the body needs in that moment. We can look at the thoughts, but often in therapy, it can be a bit of a trap to just focus on what we're thinking, because our body, our nervous systems, that bicycle is making its own decisions. And based on whether we're feeling frantic or shut down, our thoughts will be different too. And so giving your body what it needs can often be a way to just change those thoughts automatically. Now, I remember a couple of years ago, I went and visited a friend, and I don't know why, because sometimes we don't know why, but I just felt as though I hadn't fitted in for some reason, that there was something about me that didn't really complete the jigsaw of what was going on. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I remember getting off the bus and my body's bicycle was kind of in full flow. My pedals were going. I felt anxious. I felt hyped up. And I thought to myself, do I want to feel this? And the answer was no. And I thought, well, what do I want to feel instead? And I was focused solely on my body. I had all these thoughts mulling around as well. But for some reason that day, I decided not to address the thoughts and simply address the feelings. And I realised that I wanted my body to feel kind of more still again, more calm again, to be on that kind of leisurely bike ride alongside the river. And the thing that I decided to do in that moment was simply to breathe differently. I slowed my breathing down, and my aim was just to release the knot that I felt in my stomach. so that my stomach felt easier again. And the amazing thing was that it worked. That having the knot in my stomach as the focus and releasing the tension there being the focus rather than the thoughts I was having allowed me to feel easy again very, very quickly. And so this understanding, and it's a biological understanding, it's not some sort of psychotherapy theory or psychology theory, it's physically how we're all made. So having this understanding that this is what the body does, that it's like a bicycle that self-drives. What you can do in moments where you notice that you're not feeling quite right, you're not feeling as you would like to feel, we can actually make some choices for our bodies in the first instance that might make things a little easier. And that'll be a different thing for each of us. You know, the writer Scott Adams, the cartoonist Scott Adams, he talks about the body being a moist keyboard for our minds. That if we do things with our bodies, then our minds will feel better. And it's often the case. So I know when I'm hyped up sometimes, going for a really fast walk will help me. Because it's kind of what my body is asking for in that moment. And so my invite to you is, when the thoughts start to race, notice what's going on in the body, because it gives you another option. Rather than simply only having the strategy of tackling the thoughts, oftentimes when we give the body what it needs in that moment, the thoughts do get easier, because the state of our body is a big part of what influences our thoughts in the first place. And so to summarise, we looked at that metaphor of the bicycle ride along the riverside on a summer's day, where the first state is that we're going along very leisurely. The second state is where we're pedaling really, really fast in order to get away from a danger. And the third is where we hit the dead end, and so we slam on the brakes. And we saw that those three states map exactly to what goes on in our nervous system, which is a biological thing rather than a psychological thing. And we saw as well that the key difference between the bicycle and our nervous system is that the nervous system is a bicycle that rides itself. So you don't push the pedals, it starts turning the pedals automatically. And so the final thing that we looked at was how, just like I did after having those unpleasant thoughts about myself after visiting a friend, how we can actually focus on the body rather than the thoughts in order to feel better and to address those thoughts automatically simply by giving the body what it needs. And so my invite to you, as you'll remember, was to focus on the body, to focus on what the body needs and think, what can I do with my body? Whether it's a walk, whether it's listening to some lovely music, whether it's smelling my favourite smell, whether it's looking at a flower or the face of a puppy dog, whatever it happens to be that is about your body, or like I did, just changing the pace of breathing, but having the focus on what your body needs and letting your body then take the heat out of the thoughts. Because we saw as well that the thoughts are actually influenced very strongly by whatever state our own bodily bicycle is in. And when we get to that calm state, then the thoughts often feel easier to deal with too. So if you find this helpful, please do share it so that others can find it helpful too. You can also work with me directly one-to-one. I'm Alun Parry. You can find more at liverpoolpsychotherapy.co.uk. And I do work online, by the way, as well, so it doesn't matter what location you're in, I can still work with you. And subscribe to the podcast because it's completely free and it means that you'll never miss an episode again. So thanks very much for listening, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another one.